Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Monday in the rib, and we got a lot of things to talk about on this Monday. A lot of things to talk about. We've got uh, big news over on the school side with a lot of things. Uh,
A lot
catch
of dirt.
a lot of dirt in the school department, but we'll save that one for a little later. But I guess we have a report on your your friend's campaign
Oh, yes.
kickoff.
Chris Sylvia had his campaign kickoff over on Pleasant Street. He had about 14 people there, it looked like 14, 15. Um, and what was interesting was he had answers of no answers to questions that were asked of him. Okay? For instance, why are you running for mayor? Well, I think that Paul's a nice guy, but he's not doing the job.
Oh, okay. He always
But
has to,
but we haven't forgotten about the fact that you said Paul was doing a great job not that long ago.
that's correct.
Okay? And he said that it was terrible because when he had keys to the building he was standing in front of, okay, the neglect of that building was unacceptable. There was a waterfall in the middle of the building because there was no roof on it. Yeah, but he didn't talk about the fact that he got $600 for doing the windows and cleaning the streets. I want to remind him of something because the Flint is a neighborhood. And Kathy Assad worked that neighborhood for 30 years. She cleaned that neighborhood. She held that neighborhood together. She gave out food cards. Around the holidays, she gave out Christmas meals to the poor. And
Yeah, she,
I'll tell you now, she never broadcast it on TV, on Facebook, or anywhere else. She did it, and that was it. So for this guy to compare himself, literally or otherwise, to anyone in the Flint is wrong. Carlos worked that neighborhood for 30 years. And he did a lot of things. He's had 3 administrations recognize him for it. And what Chris has done is he finds a project, then he finds a way to get weasel his way in and take it over, like he did for the fundraiser for the fire victims. That was started by somebody else. And he really weaseled his way in and took it over. From what I understand, there's somebody at the Fall River Firefighters Wives Association that's very upset with Mr. Sylvia. And one of the people that was at this event turned around and said, "We have no answers. We're asking where the money's going, and we have no answers." And he goes, seriously, he says, "Well, you know me. I'll get the answers." You in what army?
I'm still waiting for the answer of why. If he thought he was so good, he's running for mayor. We see
Exactly.
he didn't even answer that today. That's a week later after I asked him the question.
Right.
So he's got one person voting for him, just what we need. A guy in there with no answers. Listen, I gave him an opportunity to give me a reasonable answer why he was and be specific. I've been in this game too long to listen to generalizations. Politicians are great at making generalizations. I'm gonna fix the city. How are you gonna do it? Well, I'm gonna fix it. Well, how are you gonna do it? I'm gonna fix it. That's what politicians do. I don't see anybody that's looking at this city right now and says, we're $2 million in the hole for the health care, even though they've known that. He got a letter. I was on a transition team, on a finance team, told him 6 years ago, you're going to run out of money. You don't keep any money, you blow it. He had $600,000 in there for pay raises. Now, if he told me some numbers, gave me some examples of what he's not doing, why he's not doing the job, I would consider voting for him. But I don't vote for people that make these general statements, because politicians are great. But
and his whole campaign kickoff was generalized statements. And Cheryl, you have the right to vote for Christopher Sylvia, but did you look into him? Did you look into his past? Did you look into what he's doing? Or are you just a blind Jesus supporter that figured, I'm going to fall in with this guy with the rest of the Jesus supporters? You think I don't know who these people are? I know who these people are.
Well,
and what are you getting? What are you getting for it?
Well, I don't know about that, but listen, there are a lot. Unfortunately, this is why the city is the way it is. This is why blue states are the way they are. They continue to, well, the missing fund. Well, we know where they're not missing, Mario. They spent them. They've been doing that for decades. I mean, they've been mishandling money forever. And this guy is like the Supreme Allied Commander of misspending money. He doesn't care. He put $600,000 worth of pay raises in a budget when the city's broke. So these are the kind of things that people who actually vote intelligently vote for. They don't like. I don't care if the guy's a nice guy. I would vote for Mussolini if he would run the city better. Okay, I'm sorry. That is being absolutely foolish if you're going to vote for somebody that's going to. And this is the problem with politics. You don't do that with any other facet of your life. If you hire a plumber and he doesn't fix your plumbing and he screws your entire house up, you're going to go get a lawyer and sue him. If you get an electrician that can't run wire and he burns your house down, I don't even know if he knows what a forensic audit is.
Well, here's the funny thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, Stevie. Here's the funny thing. See, I told you, I am a Jesus supporter. I've never asked a politician for anything. I'm retired, need nothing. Well, I'm glad for you, Cheryl. But we can tell the type of voter you are just by, as we always say on the show, show me who you hang with, and I'll tell you who you are. We know. We know. We're not stupid. Okay? And as for an audit, he didn't say he supported an audit. As a matter of fact, he previously said he didn't support an audit. He said he wants to know where every dollar is going to. As a matter of fact, the way he said it was, well, I have a business. I know how to set a budget. And we audit that budget. Again, answering a question without answering a question. This is one of the problems. Hi, Amy.
Hey, Amy.
I was just going to mention that. Thank you. You see, this is the problem we have. The man has a lot of question marks after his name on everything. And when he's asked a question, like we did on this show, he did not answer. He didn't answer. There was no answer. Nothing. Crickets. Crickets were louder.
Well, look, this is the whole problem with the entire voting system. As a man once said, America's greatest. One of my a professor I had in college when I came out of service and went to school on a GI Bill told me that America's greatest strength is always its greatest weakness. Is also its greatest weakness, that you have people who don't look at people and try to vote intelligently, and they cancel your vote out. So the voting is a great right, but this is the problem. And you look at blue states. Look at Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore used to be a beautiful city, a half a century ago. It's been run, and they're always complaining it's one of the highest crime, if not the highest crime city now. It's even beaten D.C. and some of these other cities. Detroit, same thing. But yet they still keep electing the same kind of people, Democrats. And they let people out of jail no matter how heinous the crime is. And this is the kind of politician you get the government that you deserve. People have to cast an intelligent vote. It always amazed me that probably the most important job in the world is running the government. And we have a bunch of morons running the government because we have people that vote morons in. We've got a congressman that thought Guam was going to sink if they put all the military trucks on one side of the island, and he's still in office. We have another one that we've got a whole bunch of them that got the IQ of a turnip. And some of the statements they make on TV, that you see them during it, they're made fools of by people with a brain. They don't understand economics. Okay, so this is what you get. But they're always from the same area because people vote for politicians in a completely different manner than they do everything else. Well, I guess some people are masochists and they like to punish themselves. So maybe that's what they are. Maybe these people are they're masochists because I don't hire a plumber that can't fix my plumbing. I don't hire a roofer that doesn't fix my roof properly. I go out and I research everybody in that field, and I try to get the best person in that field to do the job for me because I want it done right. And the government doesn't. You've got Sheldon Whitehouse in there, gave $8 billion, I think, to his wife to create a nonprofit to clean up the beaches in Rhode Island and give all their friends jobs. Then he awarded her a $2.7 million contract as a consultant. This is what you got in Washington. Pocahontas gets hundreds of thousands of dollars from the pharmaceutical companies. She blatantly lied the last time she was on TV. She was exposed. You got the other imbecile over there saying that Trump's going to spend $200 billion on this of taxpayer money. No, he's not. He's got a bunch of other rich people that are going to chip in to pay. They're not using $1 of taxpayer money to build that. That's something that's long overdue to actually have a place where a president of the United States can entertain people indoors, not stick them out under tents and when it rains, and turn it into a mess. But it always fascinates me that this is the way people pick politicians. Oh, he's got a, and look, I still believe, and I'll give you my theory, and I'll say it's a theory, and I am by nature a conspiracy theorist because I don't trust anybody except myself. I believe he got into that thing to help Paul Coogan because he's got a Portuguese last name and he wants to cut Portuguese. He wants to dilute the Portuguese vote. That's what I think right out of the gate because you can never get a straight answer. He doesn't know anything about numbers, and for your own personal edification, Chris, a business budget in the real world has no correlation to a public sector budget. They're all smoke and mirrors. There's all kinds of different rules on how you invest things and what you do. There are a whole set of laws in the mass general laws that deals with public sector finances. So because you can add numbers in your household budget or your business budget doesn't make you an expert in this. And as far as forensics audits are concerned, the reason none of them want it who are politicians by nature is that forensic audits look at the legality of the way the funds are spent, and that are expended. That is not what they want.
We
And
have
that-
some YouTube comments that I have to blur in.
okay.
Patrick says, rest in peace, Kathy Assad. David Oliveira says, what is his budget? I'm sure not a lot for what he owns. Well, Republicans ain't better right now, in all fairness. And then David Oliveira also says, I disagree with you on that, Chip. Sorry, LOL. But
On
still
what?
love you guys.
On what?
His business budget.
No, what did he disagree with me on?
Chip, the way you keep talking, I can't jump these comments in at the same time. So I don't know what he disagreed with you on.
I want to know.
His business budget, Mickey Mouse can't do it. Can do it. It's interesting. Hey, David, tell me what you disagree with on. And when you're bringing up the law, and let me tell you something. This guy violates every political law there is. Okay? Yes, he did say that, Amy. He doesn't want the audit at first. Now, he said it was a waste of time. So that's going to be interesting.
Good afternoon, Chris. Nice having you. I don't know if he disagrees with me because I'm talking about Democrats. I don't have much use for Republicans either. But Republicans on the whole are more fiscally conservative. They still mismanage money. There are Republicans that gave their relatives and stuff. Look, they're politicians. I am a lifelong independent, and I believe in replacing politicians every 2 terms. They should not serve more than 2 terms in office, like the President of the United States, because if they become politicians lifelong, but because Republicans on the whole are more about law and order, about borders, about fiscal conservatism, and granted, they're more about rich people than that. But you look at Trump now, the working man's wages are growing faster than they have in over 20 years. So fundamentally, overall, in its entire picture, they're a little bit better. And listen, I'm not naive. I wasn't just, I may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. I know this game pretty well. They're all crooked. I don't like lifelong politicians. You serve your city, you serve your state, and then you don't stay there for 50 years.
That's right.
Until you got a diaper and they're wheeling you around in a cart. So I don't believe in that. But I say that I always pick the least damage. I will always pick the lesser of 2 evils. I have never been satisfied by any candidate 100%. I get the one that I'm the most satisfied with their platform. I vote intelligently, but I'm never totally satisfied. I don't agree with that. I mean, it's like
I can't agree. Sorry, Cheryl, I can't agree with you there either. Everything he has done, to quote a viewer who isn't here, who said he's one and done. Okay? One and done. This city has done cleanups for 30 years.
Even Coogan did it.
Yeah, even Coogan's gone out and done cleanups. Okay? Coogan's gone into the homeless camps. Michelle Dion's gone into the homeless camps. I don't hear you counting their glories. I'm going to tell you now. Call this a prediction. Call this a prediction. God forbid Chris Sylvia gets elected mayor. You will have the worst administration you've ever seen. You will have another situation where corruption will run rampant. Not because he's corrupt, but because he doesn't know what he's doing. This man has not followed the law at all. This get-together, campaign kickoff that he had on the sidewalk, did not have a permit required by city ordinance. Did not have a police detail. required by city ordinance. Okay? Did he have the owner's permission to be on the property? Okay? Those signs haven't been declared to OCPF yet, but he has those signs. So those are in violation of the law. Understand, there's a law out there. And Paul thinks that way. The law doesn't apply to me.
Listen, if you want to look at what she just said, Coogan's, you can say that we're not electing nice guys. We're electing people who can run the damn city. The city got this way because we've had a bunch of mayors right in a row that could not financially handle the city, didn't know what they were doing. Look at Paul Coogan ran movies for kids. Paul Coogan did go to the homeless camps. But what else did he do? Give out all kinds of patronage jobs, did a whole bunch of things. I'm going to tell you right now that he has not answered a simple question. He will not sit. If he wants to sit down with me and show me he has a working knowledge of what he has to do. And they all put together teams. Paul Coogan put together a team. He put me on a team. And then he ignored what I said. And now we're paying $2 million. 6 years ago, I told him this was going to happen. I read the letter on his show. The people told him about the trash. He ignored that too. They get in power and they ignore the teams. They don't give a shit. You gotta have not teams. Every mayor that gets in there gets a team. Well, most of them adhere to that same philosophy of that old Castilian saying, tell me who you walk with, I'll tell you who you are. You put a bunch of buttes in there and you got to get a bunch of buttes. Economy and jobs, that's like on a federal level. But I mean, Fall River, listen. Yeah, who can also, yeah. But, they virtue signal. See, that's not doing things for the public good. Like Abraham Lincoln said, your character is shown by what you do when nobody's looking.
That's right. That's right. Hey, we got a lot of clarifications now. Patrick Higgins says, remember, we'll all be safer after Seth Akins becomes the Bristol County District Attorney. Oh, brother. Yeah. David Oliveira disagrees on Trump and the rich helping, but yet the unemployment is down and job share down. Then he corrects himself. Unemployment is up. Sorry. He won't last. This is about Chris now. He won't last. He will cry and resign because he won't be able to handle the pressure. And now that he said that, Chris has said publicly that mentally he's stressed.
Well, as far as the job figures are concerned, they're not up that much. The Democrats created those numbers. I saw other numbers. It's up very, very slightly. And but that this is federal politics. Jobs and economy. We are never going to get an economy in Fall River until we get a mayor that understands that we have to create programs to train people. We have to aggressively look at changing the dynamic in Fall River to train people. They did it in Rhode Island. They've been doing it in Germany for 75 years. They have the greatest apprenticeship program in the world in Germany. They always have had. It's been a model. Fall River needs to do what Rhode Island did. They trained a bunch of people to be welders. They got them jobs at Electric Boat. They're making good money. We need to bring people in the city who work instead of giving tips to millionaires. What we need to do is give a tip to somebody who's got a job, has enough money to buy a house, and wants to move into Fall River and will sign and say, I will live in this city for 5 years, and I will pay taxes, and I will shop in the Fall River area because I'm going to live here now. We have to, this bullshit I've been hearing for 50 years about how to create jobs doesn't work because We've had BCTC here for 75 years. They don't do nothing. It's a job for all political people to go in there. They've had all kinds of things. Listen, it's not rocket science. So you look at cities like Fall River, you need to bring an industry in here, and you need to require it. We blew it. We brought in Amazon. Did we push to have Fall River people? And then they said, well, we can't get qualified people. Well, get an apprenticeship program to funnel them in. How did Buddy Cianci rejuvenate Providence and have a renaissance? When you went into Providence and you were trying to start a business or you wanted to build something, he said, go see the unions, hire Providence people. You have to have an aggressive effort to get these people to work and to train them to get into work. You have to have business partnerships with businesses that will allow you to get people who really want to elevate their income ability and earning ability. It's not rocket science. It's been done all over the world. But when you get cities like Fall River that lost the mills, Pittsburgh when they lost the steel mills, they go into the toilet because they don't retrain anybody. They don't aggressively try to get these people in with something with other businesses. It's being done, but it's not being done where it's needed the most. That's what I want to hear from politicians.
And
but they ignore you when you tell them that. I told them that years ago.
And here's the interesting thing. First off, Dave Oliveira says, why did Seth Atkins resign again? Why? Because he was doing something unethical
and criminal.
Potentially unethical and potentially illegal. Okay? He was working with a city employee to build a city. So there was definitely some questions.
And who he also gave the job
around, and he told Paul, you cannot merge fire and EMS. It doesn't work. You can't do it. And so Paul didn't do it, although he promised the city council he would. This is what happens. And let me tell you something. Brenda, in response, I'm glad you're supporting Boomer Amaral. You have that right. But I want to see Boomer's plan. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen his plan anywhere. I've seen him pushing his $80 tickets. I've seen him pushing his T-shirts. I've seen him pushing his signs. But I haven't seen him make a comment on, like, the school complaint, the sexual harassment complaint. Not a comment. Crickets again. Crickets.
And just as an aside, Seth Atkins also gave that guy the job to allow him to give him the contract. He was the guy that interviewed him. So it was grossly unethical and illegal, actually. And I think the guy stepped down when they got caught. Atkins bailed out because he didn't want the flack. Technically, he could have lost his law license.
That's right. That's right.
So, I mean, yeah, he's running for DA. You know, that's like having the Fox run to be the chairman of the hen house. Well, you know, the thing is, people don't, you know, they don't demand that of the candidates. We demand it of the candidates. Boomer Amaral, I will consider Boomer Amaral if he's got a plan. But like you said, CJ, I got to hear what he's going to do. I got to hear what he thinks is wrong with Fall River. I don't know who it's going to come down to, because you can't, you know, if this electorate has a big turnout, we don't know what's going to happen. If it has a small turnout, Paul Coogan is going to be in the running again.
That's right.
The reality is that that's the way the system works. You only have major change when there's a big turnout. It shows anger. In '95, we had a big turnout. We got rid of 5 city councilors. We had a larger turnout in our little tiny single issue election in the recall on December 16th in the middle of the winter, with nobody running for council to bring people in, nobody running for school committee, that brought in more people than the 3 elections Coogan's run into. Historically, if we have a low turnout, the incumbent is always favored.
Correct.
And We have a lot of prognosticators, but I don't really know. I don't really know, but I'm just somebody that asks for what they think is wrong. First, you got to tell me what's wrong with Fall River, and then you're going to tell me what you think you can do, or what you are planning to, who you're planning to get to help you to get you, okay? And if you don't do that, well, you're not going to get my vote. So it's that simple. And
And you're right, Annalise. The state auditor cannot audit the state legislature because they don't want to let it happen. But the voters, 73% said, audit those bastards.
yeah, it just goes to show how afraid politicians are of a real audit.
Right.
And that's a state auditor. It's not as bad as a forensic auditor.
Right.
But like I said, it doesn't matter. If you elect them, see, the key is, I don't care who, well, I do care. But frankly, we're going to elect who gets elected. But the thing that bothers me is for the last 15 years or so, or maybe a little longer than that, we have been electing people that can't handle the budget. We had Flanagan get into trouble, $8 million deficit. He got recalled. We got this guy who can't add numbers, can't add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Yeah, I know, you're right, Nelson. He has been like a Siamese twin. Well, who knows?
Paul killed it. Paul killed that audit.
They squashed it. They squash everything.
That's right.
Listen, but let me get back to that point. I think it's critically important that, listen, no matter who we elect, and hopefully it's not Paul Coogan, if they don't do the job, they're going to be out in 2 years. This is the whole key. If you don't listen to Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, that said, politicians are like diapers and should be changed often, like a diaper, because they're just like, for the same reason, they're full of shit. And if a politician doesn't work for you, you can't give them 3 terms like you gave Coogan. You can't give these people multiple terms. I don't care who it is if he doesn't do the job. Because I'm going to go back to the letter I wrote again, and this is what I told him 6 years ago, before he was elected, when he made the critical mistake of putting me on the transition team and on the financial team. I said, after a long introduction of how they blew all kinds of money and how we had to give them a loan more than once, on the long term, major changes that can spike medical or drug costs that are highly probable will find the city financially unable to pay its share of the cost of health care. On the short term, the city could not afford to absorb the cost of the changes that could benefit in the long term. Examples have already occurred. He got this before he ever stepped in the office, yet they continued to blow the money 6 years, and now we're paying again, the taxpayers. This is the problem with politicians. It doesn't matter who you get. You notice the difference between when you bring somebody in who's an independent auditor and gives you real numbers, and when you commission a study. Every time a politician commissions a study, it always comes out the way they want. When you get an audit, well, our city was audited every single year when we had a forensic audit of the healthcare, and every single year they never found anything wrong. And every single year there were numerous legal violations of the law, and there was nearly $2 million misappropriated by the city of Fall River, and that by statute. Not only the city budget has to be audited, but the healthcare budget has to be audited separately, and they never got it once. Why? Because they were ignoring it. They even admitted under oath it wasn't an audit. It was a recreation. That's what they said. We couldn't do an audit because we didn't have enough figures, and so we just made the numbers match. Listen, The city's a mess. And if you try to delude yourself that some guy that's giving out hot dogs, hamburgers, I don't care, chow mein sandwiches, and is telling you that I'm a nice guy and I really want to fix the city, I don't give a damn how much you really want to. You know, I might want to play in the NBA. And I might have wanted to play in the NBA when I was in high school. But at 5'7", I'm not playing in the NBA. Sorry. You know, if you got 26-inch legs, you're not going to run in a marathon and win it. I'm sorry. You got to be realistic. I don't care how nice a guy this is. Okay? So, you know, Mother Teresa was nice. She didn't have anybody filming him. They filming her. They you know, people talked about her ultimately, and she became world famous. But what did she do every day? She didn't do that stuff. She didn't just show up and start doing that. You know, listen, I'm telling you, it's lipstick on a pig, painting sidewalks. And Paul Coogan gave a homeless guy a $20 bill once. But he can't run the city. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn if he's the nicest guy in the world. I don't know him from Adam. I want somebody in there who is going to look at the numbers, call for audits, like Chris Peckham just said he's going to call, Colin's going to call for an audit. These are the kind of people I want in office. I don't have to agree with them on everything. I just want to know that my tax money is not being blown. $600,000 on pay raises while I got to pay more for my escrow than I do for my mortgage. And that's bullshit. Sorry. That's just not the way it's supposed to be. CJ, you answering the phone? Or is you just got your hand up at your chin? Yeah, dilute the vote. That's one of the oldest tactics used in elections. I mean, that's why I said, look, my theory, and it may be wrong. I'm just saying it's a theory. I believe that he got into the race based on his past comments, and that's why I asked him the question. Why are you running against a guy who you were a very big advocate for? I wouldn't run against a guy I thought was doing a great job. Yeah, you're right, Marcy. Carlos Caesar is the only candidate who from day one has stated that he would do a forensic audit. That's true. And that's why we've even had city councilors come out against that. Oh, it's going to cost too much money. Really? The city just couldn't. The city just blew $3 million for the trash, $2 million for the health care because they misspent money. You don't think figuring out how to spend our money, where it's going, and how to spend it right from a front, even if that ought to cost $1 million. I just showed you $5 million that we just lost because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
And let's look back 5 years. Let's look back 5 years. 2017. Okay?
Yep.
They transferred money out of the police department budget to pay for trash because they lost $330,000 for the trash payment.
Yeah.
That is the type of administration we have now. Okay?
No, you're right, CJ. I mean, listen, only in government. See, this is the problem. These people keep talking, "Our guy's a businessman." I don't want a businessman. I want a guy that has to pay his bills. Give me a working man anytime. Because, you know, he has to wait to fix his roof if he doesn't have the money. Now, government, like you said, they lost $365,000. If you did that, you'd be bankrupt. You couldn't pay your mortgage, they take your house, and you'd be out on the street. See, if regular people behave like that, but they don't. In government, what they do is you raise your taxes, increase your fees, and say, shut up. We got to have the money. We misspent it. Did anybody except Michelle Dion tell the city council, say, we shouldn't have to pay this $2 million, Paul? You find it. You're the idiot. And they admitted it in front of the camera at the city council meeting. The new CFO said, you're right. We're not doing it the right way. We should have saved the money. I only told them that 40 years ago. I've been telling them that for 40 years. When I was the chairman of the Insurance Advisory Committee, and we had Chapter 32B, Section 3A, which says we keep our money in a trust fund and we get interest and we use it in case we get a bump some year. We can cushion that. The city has to do that to prevent that. And I said it in a letter 6 years ago, and they've been ignoring it for 40 years. You know why? Because they're politicians. There's no accountability. They just go back to you, and they look at you, and they can tell you anything they want and be the nicest guy in the world to your face. All you are is an ATM machine to them.
That's right.
Give us more money.
That's it.
Shut up. We'll lose millions of dollars. We'll misappropriate. But, hey, city council has told people already, oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. It might cost $1 million. I don't care if it costs $1 million. I'll tell you what. We didn't have $1 million, but the firefighters union and the police came in with us. We had to pay that forensic auditor a lot of money, but we got $2 million back, and we got 3 free months of Blue Cross and an $18 premium reduction for the rest of that year because we got that money back. But they still didn't fix their books. They did it in 2008. They did it in 2016. They never fixed their books. And after that arbitration, they said they were going to fix their books. They never fix anything. That's why they hate Trump when he doged them. We saw all the stuff, I don't know, break dancing in Somalia or whatever. $8 billion to this, $16 billion as a consultant.
I got to put a hold on you. Breaking news. Carol Fiola has just filed a bill to transfer Route 79 project at a 50% discount to the RDA, the Redevelopment Authority, for which her husband, Ken Fiola, is a consultant. She states it is not a conflict of interest.
Oh, yeah. No, of course it isn't. Well, I can see them buying a chalet in Switzerland and maybe a nice beach house in Fiji. These people are shameless. They're just shameless. Of course it's not, because you're a politician. There's no such thing. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Hey, of course you're right. There must be billionaires already. I mean, Paul said he didn't know anything about pot, even though we do have reliable sources that said he had an intimate knowledge of that when he was younger. But he gave him some extra money for taking care of the pot. Oh, I don't know anything about pot. I don't know anything about anything. I can't do numbers. That's Paul Coogan. But now she has the audacity to do that, right? They're going to save, we're saving money. But you know who else's pocketbook is getting fatter? The Fiolas. Hopefully somebody will run against her in the next election. I'll remind everybody that David Steinoff nearly beat her. He did beat her in Fall River, but he didn't campaign in Freetown, Minnesota. He should have. And he lost by a very small number of votes. This is outrageous.
Okay. Let me give you a little bit more information on this. The proposed bill filed by Carol Fiola in May was referred to the Joint Committee on State Administration and Regulatory Oversight, which held a public hearing on June 4th, which, by the way, nobody was made aware of. Fiola said the new legislative rules require the Oversight Committee 60 days to take action on the proposed bill, and that there will be action on the bill by August 4th, which is today. They could send it to another committee or give it an extension by right for further review of the bill for 30 days, or take no action and put it to study. According to Massachusetts Appleseed, when a bill is sent to study, it usually signals the proposed legislation is in limbo for the remainder of the session and is a convenient way for the committee to quietly kill the bill. As of the end of the day on Monday, today, when action is due, the website that tracks bills did not indicate what action the committee decided on H4071. What does the act say? It is unclear what the current market value of the 20-plus acres is, described by City Council President Joe Camara as one of the most valuable properties in New England right now. Viola's bill would allow Mass DOT to sell the land to the Redevelopment Authority for 50% of the fair market value for each, to either be sold by the Redevelopment Authority or leased over 10 years from the date of passage. The Redevelopment Authority has about $14 million in the bank and commissioned a master plan study in advance of the new Route 79 corridor to determine what type of redevelopment is most sustainable. The completion of the project could take up to 10 years. So there you go.
Well, I guess they'll be going on another vacation to Italy with a few of our developers, and they're all counting their money now, because I will remind everybody, and I never got it back. Yeah, well, again, Healy, they better bounce her too. Yeah, but I'll tell you, I was on the Heritage State Park Board with Mark Sullivan, who used to run Citizens for Citizens for many years. He was a great community activist who helped the city a lot. And I remember the report that Viola gave us a zillion years ago that said that the carousel would bring in 500,000 tourists a year. Well, that was a dismal failure. And I don't think it might not have brought in 500,000 tourists since it's been in business. But listen, this is an enrichment of the rich again. See, the Democrats talk about the Republicans, but they're worse because they pretend to be like regular people. At least the rich Republicans pretend to be rich. So that's why I'm an independent. But you know something? Every Republican running for office should get a hold of this and make traction. Whoever's a candidate for governor, if you're an independent or a Republican, I would take this up. I mean, this is just, they're just blatant now. This is like California. Gavin Newsom's got that $200 billion boondoggle that's been there for 20 years, and they haven't put a foot of track down yet. You know, the bullet train. And look, California is a disaster area. They had hundreds of billions of dollars in the hole. It's homelessness. Like, he had a homeless. What did he spend for homeless? I forgot how many hundreds of billions of dollars. And then he brought the people who were in charge of it in front of the California legislature, and they asked them where the money went. And not one of them could answer it, CJ.
Right.
They had no friggin' idea. We're hundreds of billions of dollars. Well, we're still doing our books, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. Well, that's what's going to happen down here. Guess who's going to get all that property? All of Viola's friends.
You're right, Nelson. It is suspicious.
Suspicious. That's an understatement. Yeah, that's you're being very kind, Nelson. Suspicious. Yes. Suspicious. God, talk about a bunch of carpetbaggers. And they just don't care about the regular people. Yeah, screw the homelessness. They're not going to build any affordable housing down there. I can guarantee you, Kenny's not building anything over there.
What they're doing right now is they're building 48 apartments over the place on the waterfront where the homeless set up their camps.
Yeah,
we're going to give them housing. We're going to plot market rate housing right where they live.
They're gonna. Yeah, like they can afford it. But look, they're turning this city into, like I said, Detroit. And who's going to go in it? I still believe that we're getting. Maura Healey is putting all the illegals in Fall River, New Bedford, all the poorest cities. That's who's going to market rate housing. You're not going to tell me people from Wellesley and Newton and these places that could live in anywhere else in the state are moving into County Street to live in a triplex that's got no yard, just enough to go down. You don't believe me, guys? Take a ride down County Street, the old O'Gill's restaurant, the old parking lot, which was a half a block down. They now have a giant triplex there. And if you look at it, you walk out the front door of the triplex to Earl Street, and you take 2 steps and you're on the sidewalk. Then you look as you go by, there's a body shop across the street. Look in the backyard. The backyard's about, if you drive your car in the backyard, you'll have about 1.5 feet on either side of the car. So you're going to come from Boston, maybe preferably the Back Bay or Newton and Wellesley, and you're going to move into County Street in Fall River into a triplex. Bullshit. I see the people who will get in. I saw the people. I've lived in a Flint my entire life, basically. I grew up with the people who lived on a corner of County and the next house down and the next house down from that. I knew everybody that lived across the street from Lafayette Park. They sold all those houses. They've been turned into market rate housing. And I look at the tenants, and I can tell you right now, demographically, they're definitely not from Newton, Martha's Vineyard, Wellesley, or any other place. So where are they getting these people to move? I know that Cadero got War College people from Newport. Now he's got the federal government picking up the tab for them high rents. But I don't see, like I said, this is going to end up.
Because people can't make money off of single family homes, Annalise.
Yeah, you can't make money. Yeah. Yeah, they won't buy the single families. They buy the multiple. I get something every week. So do you.
Yep.
I mean, I got a 2-family, but I mean, it was never really a 2-family. I bought it because when my mother and father retired, I wanted them to move. I wanted them to move in with me, and it's been occupied by my family for the whole period. So technically, but it technically is a 2-family house. It's classified as a 2-family house. And I got a phone call yesterday. Nada calling me on the phone, saying they want to buy the house.
Yeah.
So, but it's crazy. I mean, in this state, they're just blatant now. I mean, this bill is just wow. Talk about, you don't even, and the thing about this is they're not even wearing masks when they're robbing us, CJ.
I know.
Carol didn't even put on a mask when she filed that bill.
No. And Ken Fiola sold it because he got 7 city councilors to sign on saying he wants that. But remember, there's no corruption.
No.
Because Paul Coogan gave Ken Fiola his job back, which brought him out of bankruptcy. Because he was near bankruptcy. Because Jazel ousted him.
Yep.
And now that he's back in, he's making commissions off of properties. He's making money off of tips.
He's making money, and now he's going to make a lot of money.
And that's right. And remember, the city's going to buy. The city's going to buy this land 50% off market value.
Yeah, then they'll sell it for $1 to their friends.
That's right.
Oh boy, I'll tell you.
And the redevelopment authority has decided that no national chain restaurants shall be allowed on the premises.
Oh, heaven forbid we get a really great national chain in here, right? Because by the fact they're a national chain, they're a very good functioning business.
Right.
They don't want anybody in here that can look at all the dirty laundry. That's the problem. Yeah, neither can I, but I just hope we get people out. I hope people get infuriated. I don't care who you vote for, but I would actually like to see Paul Coogan not make the finals. That would be that would be true justice, to see him not even make the cut. So like I said, every candidate, boomerang or all, you don't want to talk to us, you know where we are. And we'll have you on. We'll invite you on, but we're going to invite everybody on. And let's see what your plan is. And like I said, unfortunately I separate, my friends from the people who I employ. And make no mistake, everybody, as much as they now control us because we allowed them to stay and get this kind of power, we can, as it says in the Declaration of Independence, we can and should, when a government stops working for the benefit of the people, it is our obligation to take it over. But make no mistake, they are our employees because our Constitution says they are our substitutes and agents
Don't tell them that.
and answerable to us at all times, but they're not. Why? Because they have the power up there, because this has been a Democratic state forever. I don't care, whatever party, Republican, when they control it, they got a lockdown. Nobody could get a bill like that through in private industry. Nobody would give anybody a monopoly on something, and they're giving the Fiolas and them a monopoly on what is quoted as the most, one of the most expensive pieces of property in New England, which I think is bullshit, but that's another thing. But this is crazy. This is crazy. I mean, they have no shame now. They will rob you and not only not wear a mask, they'll give you an ID to identify themselves.
That's right.
I'm Representative Fiola. I'm going to give my husband a bonus. But the state ethics committee, who are all beholding to us up here, said it's not a conflict of interest. Of course it isn't. Just like Nancy Pelosi getting stock and selling it right before they knew there was an investigation. They dumped what, 300,000 or 500,000 of stock before they, and her and her husband, who have no stock, they were never traders. She's made hundreds of millions of dollars in stock trades, her and her husband, who both know nothing about stock. But there's nothing fishy about that. But they also blocked legislation to prevent them from trading stock. I mean, the whole thing is just, it's a swamp. And it's our fault. Because I don't vote for any of these idiots, but you people do.
Welcome, Kat. Nice to see you.
That's right. You're right, Ken. Everybody needs to get out the vote. Listen, we hate to say it, but I tell you what, I think CJ will agree with me. If we have 50,000, 60,000 people show up, no matter who wins, we can't say that the people didn't speak.
That's right.
The majority of people showed up. When 14,000 or 13,000 or 15,000 show up, it's not yet. And then we will say, okay, the majority has spoken. We have to live with it, but we think you're really idiots for electing this person. But we will accept that. I'm not going to accept elections when, this is not what America was designed to be. They gave us the ultimate power to control our government, and we're not using it, and Kat's right. We have to vote. If we don't vote, we have lost our democracy, period. You can't let these idiots run our democracy because they don't believe in democracy. Neither party. They want absolute power. Yeah, that's right. You're right, Steve. Yeah, about her husband. Yeah, she flipped out on that one. I saw that. That was really funny. Well, I'm not here to talk about that. Stop it. Don't ask me about how I'm making money. They all do that. I don't want an audit.
That's for sure. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great day.